I never thought I'd say this. Honestly, I never thought that I would have the opportunity to say this. Happy anniversary. Hi, everybody. Kevin Barhyte here. Thanks for tuning in. This is it. Number 52. Can you believe it? A year ago, I sat down here, right here in this very spot, made my first video, had no idea what I was doing. If you want to go back and check that one out, I dare you, I double dare you. There's been a lot that's changed over the last year. There's a lot that changed for me. There's a lot that I hope has changed for you. And if you're new here, take a look back at the playlist called Recovery is Happening. You see, because the idea for the playlist Recovery is Happening is that it was the bucket. It was the bucket for every single video, every single episode in order, so you could have a place that you could really see the progression, all of the thoughts that we wove together. There are 3 other primary playlists, and those will continue to stay in place. Of course, we'll continue to talk about addiction, alcoholism, and recovery. Of course, we'll continue to talk about sexual abuse, child sexual abuse, and recovery from that. And of course, we'll continue to talk about abandonment, adoption, and reunion. I'm now at the point where I am now searching. And that's all very exciting. And I do want to keep the idea of what I've been doing and what we've been doing in place, but I want to add something different. I want to add something new. I want to make some changes. I'm sorry. I know I don't deal with change well, and I know some of us don't. But what I'd like to do is start a new playlist. So here's the deal. We're going to keep the Recovery is Happening playlist, and all of this past year's episodes will be gathered there, including this one. But starting next week, with next week's episode, you're going to have a new playlist. It's going to be called Emerging into Recovery. Now don't worry, a lot of what we've been doing is going to stay the same. I'll still be here in my studio. I'll still be focusing on those other 3 playlists and those silos, as we call it. But what we're going to do is we're going to dig deeper. We're going to look at recovery and what it takes once we've emerged from the absolute tragedy and the pain and the struggles that brought us here. And it takes a lot. We talked about a lot of it over the past year. It takes a lot of steps. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of faith, and it takes all of the community that we can gather. So these studio episodes we'll continue to do, and we'll also do some more of the interview series. We're going to do more of those, at least one interview every 3 months, 1 a quarter. But there's something else I'm going to add, and you may have seen the one that I did, the Ask Me Anything series. I like that idea, and a lot of you really gave me some great feedback and some great ideas. Interviewing myself, answering and asking and talking to myself about the past, present, and future. I'm going to do at least one of those per month. And so these 3, the studio recordings, the face-to-face interviews, and the Ask Me Anything series will form the basis for the next year, and we'll do a deep dive on the topics. And I promise you there'll be some new surprises. I'm not going to give them all away, but I think you're going to know a little bit of what it might be like. Because today, not only am I announcing the Emerging into Recovery theme for the year, I'm going to take you and ask you to come with me as we emerge from the studio. When you swing the door open and you say, this is it. And you stand right in the doorway 1 more minute. 1 more couple of seconds. And take it all in. And realize this is it. I'm stepping out. I'm making my move. And it's so exciting and it's so thrilling. You walk through the door. And then there's another door. And that door can seem even harder to get to. And harder to get through. But it's the same way you got through the first door and the same way you're going to get through every single door. We're going to do it together. We're going to do it 1 step at a time. We're going to do it together, and we're going to do it 1 step at a time. We're going to do it together, and we're going to do it 1 step at a time. So emerging has to do with a lot of things. Emerging has to do with coming out a door. Emerging has to do with being able to open yourself to nature, open yourself to the world, be caring of a little puppy named Emmy. It also has to do with opening up to friends and family, and maybe walking into a 12-step group and saying hello, or getting close to a sponsor. Emerging has to do with being the best we can be at any moment in time. It's not about whether we do it right or wrong. It's not about how confident we are even when we begin. Just open the door, take a walk through it. The next door that opens, it'll be just that little bit easier. And the next door, and the next door. And eventually, we'll all be out here in the sunshine, just emerging, being the best us that we can be. See, I can't find my mother, and even if I could find my mother, and even if I could connect with my mother, I couldn't have that relationship unless it was a spiritual setting, unless it was something that my higher power delivered me to. I guess the biggest thing is, if you don't have a son to go walking with to kick the dirt out of the way, ask your higher power to go with you. Ask your higher power to be right at your side. Don't do it alone. My only qualification for being there and for helping other people is the fact that I'm clean and sober myself. Living proof that we can do this. Living proof that it has been done. Living proof that we can do this together. For me, when this catastrophic wound, when this primal wound, this catastrophic childhood of mine tore at the very fabric of my soul, I couldn't be present. I couldn't be in the now, which means I could not have a relationship with another person. I could not have a relationship with myself, and I couldn't have a relationship with a power greater than myself. And that's what's changed. The why gives me an understanding of why I do this. The easiest version of why I do this is to be of service to God and others. The most straightforward answer I can give people of why I make these videos is because if one episode helps even one person, then it's all worth it.
It's so interesting because one remembers when you're this young and formative, anything's possible in the world, right?
That's right.
So, I mean,
you're
why
still in
not?
diapers.
Yeah, I'm still in diapers.
You're still
right?
in diapers.
So,
anything can
anything
happen.
can happen, you know.
And you know, just doing it is kind of the important part for me. I just needed to get it done because putting this in the mail as quickly as possible is kind of the most important part for me. Not what happens next. What happens next is going to be, way out of my hands. But this is what I'm capable of doing. And when this goes out the door and this gets in the mailman's hands, boom. I woke up yesterday morning and my DNA test came in from Ancestry.com, and it was kind of a relief to have them come in, but I almost lost my breath just even telling you that, much less waking up and thinking, what's next? And I can know deep, deep down inside me, you're right with me. And then that connection flourishes. Then that feeling of connectivity that you and I always have, there's nothing in between us. There's nothing stopping us. There's nothing standing in our way. But there was one more thing you said, sis. There was one more thing that you focused on that just popped in my head and in my heart. And it's the thing I say all the time, my higher power. I know that there's nothing that I can or can't do, nothing that we can or can't do that my higher power, our higher power, won't carry us through, won't carry me through. And I trust that. I hope that you'll spend a minute and think about the short-term pain that you might be experiencing. And remember some short-term pain that you've experienced in the past and how it's helped you to grow. I really realized that this was a foundation that I was responsible for, and that foundation now is key. That's the foundation that I stand on when I present myself here to you, present myself to my wife, to my children, to my mother, to my family. I went through a stage of a dry drunk, and when I came through that, I knew there were 5 things that had to be completely and literally non-negotiable. I go to meetings on a regular basis. I have a sponsor. I work the steps with that sponsor. I do service, and I have a relationship with a power greater than myself. Those are the 5 things that are non-negotiable. So when you ask me to define my relationship with a power greater than myself, I say, yeah, that's a great question. Why don't we find that out together? When you ask me to define who my higher power is, I say, yeah, I'm looking for that too. I know that today, my relationship with my higher power can be as simple as saying, help. And I know if tomorrow that's the best I can do, that's all it needs to be. Because I'm more curious about what my relationship with my higher power will be tomorrow than I am with defining it today.
I mean, when you think about a table essentially elevates something of importance up to a level where we can use it. And, to be able to take, to build off of the legs and the foundation and have a place where it's solid, where it's flat, stable, where you can rest something, it doesn't fall off. It gives us the equilibrium point in a way to kind of go on to further things.
Kind of a set point.
A set point.
That's our set point, and from there we can build. Without that equilibrium, without that set point, everything's at a tilt. Everything will fall off the table.
Exactly.
Right. So no matter what we try to build on it, it's not going to stand. And tomorrow, no matter what tomorrow brings, we're going to be in this together. Me and you. Me and you, kid. From the bottom of my heart, I know that every day that we spend together, we're going to be whole. We're going to be healthy. We're going to care about each other. We're going to love each other. We're going to get to know each other better. We'll get to understand each other. And we're going to be each other's best hero, best advocate, best friend. Thanks so much for emerging with me. Thanks so much for this past year. I'm looking forward to the next year. I can't wait to see you again. Take care.